last time we did a really fun quotes game. I know we have some other fun, exciting stuff coming up. But right now, we're going to go a little bit more serious back into universe because we're nearing the end of our universe watch. And you just saw Malice, which is it's the episode right after the greater good. Is this correct? I believe so.
Oh, I'm not sure. I would have to check.
And I think this run of episodes is kind of, I mean, leading into also the couple episodes that happen after this is some of my favorite. I don't know, maybe it'll be like I just really love all of season two. It's like everything leads into each other. But
Yeah,
this one was a very, I mean, I guess if I were to use one word to describe this episode, it would be like shocking or jarring.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, what are your thoughts?
When you said that, like I was thinking in my head what would be the word, and I would think shocking.
Yeah.
Because it was like the one episode that like I just kind of like at the by the end of it, I was just like, oh my gosh, what the
Yeah.
hell just happened? And like, even though like I'm not anywhere near universe stuff with my daughter yet, like I had to go in her room and be like, oh my gosh, I just watched an episode of Universe and it was crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This
And
is
this was like the first time like it's been that much with Universe for me. So yeah, insanity.
Yeah, so this one's intense.
Yeah.
So I mean, first we start off with let's kind of recap everything, a little bit of the craziness, and then we can kind of delve
Yeah.
into. First, you have what's happened before is you have Eli is in a new sort of relationship with Ginn or Jin. Is it Jin or Ginn?
I think it's Jen.
Okay, Jin. Okay, and then you have Rush, who is kind of in a relationship with Amanda Perry, maybe a situationship. I would describe it more as a situationship, but he really has strong feelings for her. And then you have a circumstance where Amanda Perry and Jin have swapped bodies, and Jin is killed with Amanda Perry in her body. And so both of them go away. And that's not even to mention some of the things of them swapping bodies. Now we'll talk about with the circumstance between Eli and Rush. Okay. So then after that you have, of course, that Eli becomes on the revenge path, which is an uncharacteristic thing we've seen of Eli. So a
Yeah.
new, and then there's this big, I mean, I won't talk about it because of course we'll talk about it, but then, of course, Rush becomes on the revenge path. And for me, at least, there was this very shocking scene at the end of how Rush dealt with this. And so, yeah,
Yes. Oh my gosh. I
that
mean, first, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I did not expect that ending. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, first off, if you remember when we last talked about Universe, I was telling you that I kind of remembered Jin or Gin, however you say her name. Someone please tell us, how do we say her name? um, and I remember telling you, like, oh, it ended where I guess we say his name Simeon. It's not Simon, right?
Mhm.
Simeon um goes into her quarters where she's staying. Um, and obviously at that point is switched consciousness with Amanda Perry. And I said to you, like, he better not have killed her because at the end you don't know.
And I was
And
trying so hard not to say.
yeah. And I had said to you, like, oh, I don't know because I think I remember something, but I could be getting confused with something else. So if that's the case, then maybe she's not dead, blah, blah, blah. So what it was is there's um maybe I won't say the show it's from because I don't want to spoil anything in this other show, but there's a different show I've watched where it has a redheaded character and kind of similar looking to her.
Mhm.
And she's quite sneaky and does something that initially she seems like she's all buddy buddy with everyone and is involved with people, and then you end up finding out she's secretly doing something shady. And so I, in my mind, got confused with that character from a different show
Okay.
with Ginn. And so I didn't remember that she had been killed. And so I really expected her not to have been killed by the next episode. Like I really thought she was the character I was remembering and that she was kind of two-timing Eli. Like I thought she was with Eli
Okay.
in
Okay.
order to do something, but this was actually from a different show that I was remembering of a character that looks similar. And so that's why I was getting like really confused. And when she was dead by the, next episode, I was like, wait a second, what was I remembering then? Like, and it was from something completely different, like a whole
That's
other show.
crazy.
And so yeah, I was just like initially just really like sad that she died. And then I didn't know that that would make it that Amanda Perry would die. And I was just like, no, because I really like Amanda Perry.
Me
And
too.
like I just really thought maybe something would happen to show that she didn't die. Like
Hmm.
maybe they just thought she did and that she actually didn't, because I didn't realize that if one dies, the other dies too. Like that's really confusing to me. Like I wasn't sure what happens. So that was my initial reaction to the beginning of that episode, right?
Hmm.
I mean, were you expecting, if you can remember, I don't know, were you expecting in the beginning of the episode for her to be dead?
Yes, I believe so. And I think right away I thought they would both be dead just because of from what I remembered from like season 9 of Stargate SG-1, when Vala and Daniel were using the communication stones. And I think one of them was killed and then they ended up being killed in the other reality, like something like that. I can't remember what happened, but it kind of indicated that. Um, and so I had a feeling.
Oh.
Although, of course, there's always something that could happen that could say, oh, well, because of this, it didn't actually kill her or whatever. But I did have a feeling that they would both be dead, especially considering how Eli and Rush were sort of starting to develop, and that this sort of oddly bonded them in a way. But I mean, in a very weird way. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, I mean,
Yeah.
it was a bit heart-wrenching, but I think I watched the two episodes back to back.
Hmm.
So I was a little bit more like that aspect I was a little bit more prepared for was the death.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. And so then basically after that happens is then when Simeon then kind of like bolts, right? Like he basically just starts like going through the ship and I think knocking people out, right? To kind of
mhm.
get out of the onto an like another world to try and like escape because he knows that they know that he did it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so then while he's doing that, then he takes what's her name? Lisa Park hostage,
Hmm.
right? In order to get off of the ship and to some other planet. What I can't figure out is like how he thought he was going to survive on some random planet. Like maybe he just wasn't thinking clearly, or he had some sort of plan, or maybe some sort of death wish. I don't know. Like it just didn't make sense. Like
Hmm.
unless you have a plan that you know where you're going, like to go off in some like planet that's full of sand and rock and things like that, how are you going to survive? um because he seems like a kind of character to also kind of plan out things well too, so
Yeah.
that was like kind of a bit confusing to me. um but yeah, so then he takes her, and then I can't remember the name of the other scientist that was with her in the same room. Do you know the name of him? He because he basically, that guy kind of just like let her be taken,
Oh
and it
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of just irritated me. Like I get it, like if you think about human nature, if someone's like scared shitless, like they're not necessarily going to be the hero, and he's just another scientist, so he's not trained
True.
in
True.
military, so he was just scared, which makes sense. So maybe it makes sense that he did that, but it kind of irritated me that he didn't try harder to try and prevent the guy from taking his co-worker basically off into another planet.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in some of those cases, your instincts also kick in, and even if you're not really familiar with fighting or something, you might try and do something.
Yeah.
So that was also, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think of like Atlantis, for example, like McKay,
Yeah,
he like
he's not a
he's,
soldier.
yeah, and he's like done some really like brave things or silly things to try and help people.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but yeah, this guy just kind of like, in a sense, I felt like just kind of froze and gave up and let her be taken.
Hmm.
Um, and then it kind of goes into like, so it's like this whole episode I think is very like chaotic from the beginning, because you find out what happens, then you have like the reaction from Rush, the reaction from everyone else, the reaction from Eli, and then this guy's basically trying to escape, and then
Hmm.
he takes Lisa Park to their planet, and then they basically plan to try and like go after him, I think. um I can't remember whatever it was doing during all of this. I think he was trying to prevent Rush, I think, from doing something stupid. But I don't
Which
think
we
it
all
could
know Rush is
actually
gonna do.
stop him. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
That's the one
gosh.
thing you
Yeah.
can guarantee with Rush is that he will do something, right?
Yeah.
And it will very likely be extreme and something the rest of the crew doesn't want necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, what did you think, like how you were mentioning how it was very uncharacteristic of Eli, right? How he kind of started to react during all of this, which makes sense again because it's like something heartbreaking that happens. You know, yeah. I was just
I was
wondering your
super
thoughts on
surprised
that.
because so far, Eli has been, the sweet kind of a little bit geeky guy that, um, he just was originally trying to make a friend. He was nice to everybody, and now he's like revenge mode. I was really kind of surprised that was brought out in him. I mean, it was cool, and I also really like. I mean, this is something I'm appreciating about um Universe, where you were also mentioning, for example, with this person that didn't save Park or didn't try and stop, because it's kind of more like that is more human, that is
Yeah.
actually that is a reasonable reaction that a human might have. And I think, in this case, yeah, I mean, of course, it's very reasonable that someone, even if they wouldn't normally think, oh, I'm the revenge kind of person, that I mean, he finally was having a human relationship connection with a person, and then they were killed under very weird circumstances. So, and he knows who did it. I mean, it's kind of like when I mean, it's interesting because, of course, Teal'c had the revenge thing, but you would expect this of Teal'c
Hmm.
when Tanith killed Shonnak, right? Was the name?
I don't remember her name,
The High
but yeah.
Priestess. When the kind of her Goa'uld tricked her and then
Yeah.
went into someone, they were thinking it was a Tok'ra, but it was really a Goa'uld, and then that became kind of like a Tok'ra spy.
Yeah.
But remember, Teal kind of went on this revenge against Tanith, and I mean that to me was very expected because this Teal'c, I would expect him to go on a revenge. I wouldn't expect it of Eli, just knowing his character. But then again, he's on a ship, he's isolated, he finally has a relationship with someone that could definitely be the thing that would put him into revenge mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't like fully remember what it was that Eli did with like the revenge mode stuff, but I do remember him getting quite angry and upset.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Um,
For me, that was the attitude that was mostly
yeah,
surprising. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, but yeah, like you says, I do like that they did that because it makes sense. You know, everyone has their limits, and it was almost like one minute she's there, the next minute she's gone. And like then everyone's like he didn't get the chance to even really have any of it register, and
Hmm.
then it's like all chaos, right? It's like they're trying to get the guy that did it, then just everything's like going wrong. So it's like you probably didn't even have the chance to actually have everything register. So those were the emotions immediately, was to just like be
Yeah.
really mad. Um, one thing that I think is uh kind of nice to see with some of the other characters is like if you think of like Greer and Lieutenant Scott, how they're able to kind of keep such a level head and just try and do the right thing and go about it in the right way. I feel like Greer actually tends to do that a lot, which
Hmm.
is surprising because in the beginning he was always like the hothead, like he'd always kind of get really mad, and there was always like people acting like he shouldn't be there, and um at least I think I remember that in the very beginning because something had happened, I believe, where he'd gotten in trouble for something, right? Like
Hmm.
before they ever were on the ship. And so he's proven to be like one of the most like level-headed people there actually, I think, for the most part. Like I mean, I know he does kind of get his own grudges in a sense, and he's very like skeptical of certain people sometimes, even when other people are saying to trust them. But in a sense, I kind of feel like it's because of his training that he's that way. It's not necessarily like something that doesn't make sense for him to feel that way. um so I do feel like those two characters are kind of brought out in that light of kind of staying level-headed and trying to do the right thing, because of Rush, then didn't he like quickly jump through the Stargate, I think, when the guy took the girl, I think.
Simeon, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I think he wanted revenge. I mean, because of course his
yeah.
circumstances parried it. I have to agree with you about Scott and Greer, and I think part of it is Scott has always come off as like the calm one. Like you
Hmm.
want somebody around you in a time of stress. Sure, Lieutenant Scott. I mean, his vice is obviously womanizing, or like codependency or whatever. Like he has some interpersonal vice, but as far as like his persona, like almost in many ways, he's baby Cy Young emotionally sometimes.
Yeah,
So I think he, in that regard, like when it comes to dealing with the situations, he is very like he has a very good way of handling it. Now, Greer, it's funny because from the very beginning of the show, I always thought, I bet you anything Greer is going to turn out to be one of the more like level, like sort of reasonable people over the course of the
yeah.
show. Because I always have this feeling when people are kind of outwardly like that, there's nothing hidden. And so you never get anything
Ah, that's a
weird.
good point.
And so
Yeah,
to me, when I see people like Greer, I always feel much more comfortable and okay with them because like whatever is going on is out in the open. And some people is behind, and then it's to me that's very scary.
yeah,
That's much more scary. And so I always thought he has a very good sense of like right and wrong and like a sense of duty and moral.
yeah,
And so I understand there's sometimes when he probably knows you need to break the rule or you need to do something, kind of like Colonel O'Neill in a way was also like that, but like maybe a little bit rougher version of Colonel O'Neill in the sense of his kind of outward persona. Um, so I agree with you there. Um, but what about, did you think it was a little dark that they put a bomb on her back?
oh my gosh, wow, yeah, that was crazy. And I think, and I feel bad that I don't know the actress's name, but dang, she was good at acting that
Yes.
out. Like, um, like just how she acted that out was like amazing in my opinion, because
Hmm.
like she seemed like genuinely like terrified and trying to like almost calm herself, and like Rush is like trying to help her. Also, I can't remember, did Greer and Lieutenant Scott come through the Stargate while the bomb was still on her? Do you know?
That I can't remember. I don't remember.
Um,
The actress is Jennifer Spence. I was just looking it up.
Jennifer Spence. Okay.
Yes. But yeah, no, that was a moment. Like that was such a intense.
Yeah, because if you remember what happened, was like immediately trying to help her, and then he thought he couldn't help her. And and then she's like literally telling him it's okay. Like that's
Oh,
heartbreaking. I'm just like, what the actual hell is going on? Like it was crazy. And then it wasn't until I think he realized he had something that he was able to use on him
hmm.
to help do something with the bomb. And then he's able to throw it, and then it explodes farther away and she's okay. But just like the build up to that moment, like they really make you think like he's not going to be able to do anything. And I wasn't sure like if she was just going to like blow up, because like she's not necessarily a character that you see too often. Like she's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
there, but like and in fact, before all this happened, I believe in our last podcast where we talked about universe, I think I said to you that that character I would like to know more about, because
Yeah.
like they didn't like have too much about her. Like she's there, there's things that happen where she's there, but like otherwise you don't really know much about her. And I mean, she also, I think, was the one that you said had a fling with Greer, right?
Hmm.
And so that's also brings an interesting aspect to this whole thing, because you see how Greer was handling everything. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly, he didn't like he could have allowed his emotions to like get the best of him, knowing that someone that he had a connection with was taken off into another planet. Like, but he didn't let that get the best of him, and he still kind of kept a level head to try and just do the right thing. Granted, I don't think they knew that she had a bomb on her, but um
No, no. I think
I
this
believe
reveal is
I'm trying to remember. It must have been happened before they came through the Stargate. I think that whole bomb thing happened when it was just Rush, because I don't remember anyone else trying to help him with it. They would
no,
have,
it was at the beginning, it was just Rush and her. And I mean, that's the thing, like in this moment, is not a main character. So you don't know what's gonna happen. And
yeah,
this is an impossible situation. I mean, you can help, but you might blow up yourself. You
yeah,
can leave, but then they're gonna die. It's like a complete like is a dilemma. And I mean, I can't, I mean, it's again, it's one of those circumstances you put a characters in, like how on earth are they supposed to act? And if I remember right, wasn't there part of the scene, it was like soundtrack free, right? I feel like there's some moment where I feel like there wasn't any music. And sometimes in those kind of scenes where there's nothing, it's just like so powerful. But I can't remember, I don't know if I'm
yeah. Oh
remembering
my
right.
gosh, I never noticed. I would have to go back, and usually those kinds of things I notice, because one of the biggest things you're told in film scoring is the power of silence. Like
Yeah.
when you score something for a film, it's not always the answer to just have there be music, or even if it's like an atmospheric music and stuff throughout everything, right? You kind of have to find where it's most impactful. And so silence can bring so much into a
Oh,
scene.
totally.
And so
Totally.
that's interesting if they did do that.
I
I would be
maybe
curious to look back and see.
I don't know if I'm remembering it right or if it's just like in my mind, I kind of want it to be like the scene where there's no music and they're just like in that moment where you go, oh no, like there's nothing we can do, right?
That would have been perfect if they did do that. I kind of hope if I go back and watch it that they did, because like that gives such a feeling of like you have nothing of comfort,
Hmm.
like I kind of feel like sometimes music can bring comfort,
Yes, even in sad
and
moments.
yeah, and so if there was nothing there, I'd be curious to go back and see, because that would have been perfect, because it gives you that uncomfortable feeling. I love when shows or films do that, where like everything that they put into it, even if it's just changes in like the coloring of the scene and things like that, that can all make you feel like what's going on without you realizing.
Yeah.
Um,
Also,
but
what with Simeon being like a bigger, you know, villain, I was trying to think of a word. I almost said a bad word and I'm like, nope, this is YouTube. But like he is actually worse than a lot of the Goa'uld and even the Wraith when you think about what he just did. He killed
yeah,
two people. and then he took someone through the gate and strapped a bomb to their back. Like, did even a Goa'uld do anything like this? I mean, I know they did some awful stuff, but this is cold.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I kind of wonder how I would have thought about it had I not seen that actor play kind of a villain-like character in a different show.
Oh,
I've
really?
seen him play like villain-like characters in multiple shows.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I think it was actually before I saw Universe, from what I can remember at least, or at least definitely like if I had seen it, I maybe didn't realize it was the same actor at the time. But like this time through, when I'm watching Universe, I know that actor from other shows where he plays, like I said, he played Teabag in Prison Break, and then I believe he also played a villain character in Heroes, I
yeah.
think. And because of that, he plays those bad characters so well
Hmm.
that I didn't stop and think like how crazy it is what he did in this episode. Like I almost like in a sense like it's almost expected because I've seen him play so many evil characters, but you are very right. And like I think that's part of the shock factor of part of this episode. I mean, there's another shock factor we'll talk about in a second, but um is the fact that you don't really see this level of cruelty really
Yeah.
until this point. Like granted, like you're told about it, right? So sometimes like in SG1, you're told about like cruel things that are done, but it's still like acted out in such different way that this is really just an other person at their worst, just like
Yeah.
going crazy and just like not caring who they harm in the process and how they harm them. It's almost like uh, just insane. So and then
Yeah,
you have, yeah,
it's like psychopathy because like it's interesting with the Goa'uld or even the Ori. I mean, Goa'uld they not I mean they really truly just felt they were superior. So they
hmm,
were kind of like you could almost look at it like they were just in a way delusional and misguided assholes. But I don't think they did anything in that they thought they thought they were in the right, essentially. Like I think there was a difference. They were evil and they were doing the wrong thing. But it's kind of like the way that um I mean, in ancient Rome, there's some information where they talk about slaves that they actually just didn't think that they had the same soul or something. So it's something that we conceptualize as, oh my God, that's horrible and that's evil and this is wrong. But it's the way that obviously they were thinking about it was perhaps a different than total psychopathy. It's just an evil race that they're doing something, and so it's an evil, but it's different evil. And I think with the race, I mean, they're probably in a way the least evil because they're just trying to live. I mean, in terms
yeah,
of what they're doing, I mean, it's basically like they're just trying to live, and I guess they didn't figure out how to be vegan race or something yet. So that's kind of like their thing. And the Ori, they also thought they were, again, it's religious crusadism. It's not good morally, but they felt they were in the right, they thought they were doing the right thing. Like all these people, they really believed in this and were doing it. I mean, obviously the beings, they wanted power. They had this motivation. So there's
yeah,
motivation. I mean, there's the goal, there's power, and they think they're doing the right thing. They're better. Ori, same thing. Power and then also people thinking they're doing the right thing. Wraith are just trying to live. Replicators are maybe the closest you get, but then they're also just trying to live and they have to consume things in order to live. But maybe some of the
yeah,
human replicators got to evil. But this is like on another level because I always, I always like, I don't know, probably like the Lucian Alliance are like a sub-villain, and
yeah,
in Stargate, they're kind of like, they're like a crime family or something.
yeah,
And compared to like when you think about it, compared to the Goa'uld, they're like this crazy big system lords. They're a big threat. The Lucian Alliance isn't such a threat. They're not so bad. They're just some people that aren't really living a clean lifestyle or something, and
yeah,
occasionally try and shoot first, ask questions later, or do bad things. But I would never expect one of them to just do stuff in such cold blood.
yeah,
Like an
yeah,
innocent person just strap a bomb to the back on a random planet. It feels much colder in terms of the
yeah.
motivation and
Yeah, no, I agree for sure on that. Once the whole bomb is taken off of Lisa Park, then I think shortly after that is then when Greer and Lieutenant Scott come on to try and find Rush because they're trying to like stop him from doing something stupid. Um, and I can't fully remember how it plays out, but I do know that I think Rush is still there when they come through, right? Or is he already taken off to go after the guy?
Right, because they want Simeon alive, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Rush, I mean, I think everybody is feeling like, and understandably so, that Rush wants to kill him, right?
Hmm.
So they're trying to like make sure that Simeon is captured alive because, right, he has information. And I think if I
Yeah.
remember right, he's the only one with information or something like this.
I think so. Or
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not fully sure, but yeah, they definitely wanted to keep him alive. I know that. And like have him be more of like a prisoner.
Yep. And then, okay,
Um,
so I have to
yeah.
ask you, of all the crazy moments in the show, what one in this episode, what one was the most shocking to you?
I mean, if you go to the end of the episode, right? I mean, all of it's crazy, but I never expected there to be like, I mean, like I said, I have seen Universe before, so some of it was bringing back a bit of memories as I was watching it of this episode. Um, and I think probably before this happened, I vaguely remembered this potentially happening, so it wasn't as much of a shock as I probably would have had I not seen the episode before. Because it was starting to bring back memories. But basically, when Rush sets it up to have it be that this guy gets trampled by what looks like dinosaurs, um, you know, that's well, first of all, it's crazy smart, like how he set that up. Like, who
Yeah, it's
thinks of
clever,
that?
man.
Who
I
the
would
hell
not have
thinks of
thought of
that?
that.
You know? But also just like so awful. It's so cruel, but at the same time, the guy was horrible. But it's
Yeah.
just like, it's really hard to watch because not that they necessarily fully show it, but it's just kind of like human nature to be like, oh my God, I don't want to see this.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
one of
this is
the
bad.
it's like one of the worst things. I mean, it's kind of I guess like you could say similar like for example in Game of Thrones, which I had to stop watching after this point because like this was too much for me, like psychologically. But there's a character that I think he had someone killed or he killed someone. Anyways, he was did something really bad. I don't remember. I remember things very poorly. But then he was tortured by someone and had something completely indescribable done to him as part of the torture. But people go, oh, well, this is, really he had it coming. And in this
Mhm.
circumstance, it's like, okay, we just said Simeon is the most evil MFer. He's a total psychopath. I mean, he just strapped a bomb to a poor girl's back and like took her to the Stargate. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, this is just terror inducing. And
Yeah.
then his end, and after, by the way, like then killing two people for, just in cold blood, like there in the on the ship. And like his end is being run over by a bunch of animals, which also sounds like a horrible, horrible way to die.
Yeah. Because I think what happened first is Rush got injured, correct?
Mhm.
So basically, what was happening is that guy was setting bombs around the place, right?
Yep.
And
Yes.
so I think there was other military people that came through, and I think some of them got killed off, I believe, when there was an other explosion. Like it was kind of like a setup when they were looking for the guy.
Hmm.
Um, and I think Greer, I think, got shot, right? He or something happened with Greer, where then Lieutenant Scott was trying to help him. Oh, the woman that's also the military person that came through, she was okay, but she was with the other people that things got blown up, and I think some of them died. Um, and then you have Rush that is, still trying to go after this person. They only have a certain amount of time that they can do this because of how it works with the Stargate. And so I believe Rush, just then went off on his own, and the rest of them figured they had to get back because they weren't going to have enough time. And then meanwhile, if I remember correctly, Eli, I think, was trying to help figure out how to keep the Stargate open longer,
Yeah,
because
something
they
like
were
that.
running out of time, something like that. So all of that is going on, and then Rush is going after this guy. Rush, I believe, gets injured somehow. I don't know if he got shot. I can't fully remember, but I know he was injured. And then the
Mhm,
guy basically was going to try and kill Rush. And
mhm.
Rush, I think, tried to, I don't know if it was he shot him or he used something that kind of injured him, but kind of missed. So then the guy just thought, like, he could kill Rush. And then because of Rush thinking ahead and using, like, I don't know if it was another bomb or something that he had
It was a
tossed
mine,
further
yeah.
away, yeah, to scare off what looked like dinosaurs to me. um, a herd of dinosaurs. Um, then that kills the guy. And it's like the speed of the animals, there's like literally nothing he can do, and he knows it. So he just kind of stands there. And then
Oh
you kind
yeah,
of, and then like,
brutal, brutal,
and
brutal.
then I think he was partially alive afterwards, right? Like he was partially alive, um, I think immediately after that, which is makes it even more cruel, like it was just crazy.
It's
And
brutal,
then
brutal, brutal. Yeah.
and then basically Rush was thinking that he was left on the planet, but at this point, this is the first episode that I think he's ever cried over someone. I don't think
Mhm.
he's ever cried over anyone, and he cried over Amanda Perry. Like you could tell he was just like heartbroken. And
Yeah.
I think this is the first time you actually see those emotions in Rush, and you see how it makes him go crazy.
Yeah, yeah, no
um,
kidding.
so yeah, and then he's surprised by everyone still being there, basically waiting for him because he
Mhm.
didn't get back in time. But unknown to him, something had been figured out to keep the Stargate open, and they were waiting for him. But
Yeah.
then it just basically kind of ends where, I don't know if it was Lieutenant Scott or Greer. I think it was Lieutenant Scott that basically says, "Well, do you feel any better now?" Because, at this point, he
Yep.
doesn't, it didn't help anything. And it's potentially made it that a ton of people will die now because of plans that the Lucian Alliance had that this guy could have told them. And now they're stuck. Like I think that's what it had to do with, is something to do with plans that the Lucian Alliance were gonna like do something. I don't know if it was to Earth or like what it was, but like it was some sort of plan that they had. And then that, they're just kind of like hoping it doesn't happen. So
Yeah. True. What's interesting is this kind of bonds Eli and Rush in a weird way, no?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Rush within the last few episodes have been bonded with people in strange ways.
Yeah, exactly. Like no.
Because last time it was Chloe, right?
Hmm.
Rush and Chloe kind of bonded because of being both taken away by aliens.
Hmm.
And then when he like was using Chloe to help him with like some sort of like impossible like algorithm of something. I don't know what he was doing, but like, some sort of sciencey thing that he couldn't figure out, that
Hmm.
bonded him and Chloe, which normally those two characters never would have bonded. And then Eli and Rush, I don't think those two characters normally would have bonded too much either, because of how standoffish Rush is towards everyone and how he's kind of mean.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. It's interesting, but yeah, imagine being bonded over your partners getting killed at the same time and then revenge, basically. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, in a way, Eli has some kind of, I mean, not a debt, but he has a reason to be grateful. I mean, really say grateful. This is a terrible thing to say. I mean, because, but like the thing he wanted, Rush did, right? So,
Right. But then what's weird about that whole situation is that before that, Eli was really upset with Rush
Hmm.
because Rush was kissing his girlfriend because it
Yes.
was Amanda Perry's consciousness. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's got to be so complicated in Eli's head at this point
This
because
is
he was,
almost
yeah,
this is almost like getting to like Tok'ra levels of complicatedness of, having
yeah,
someone in my body and now it's actually two people. And I mean, this is different, I guess. It's just the one consciousness that's present. But I mean, imagine, yeah, how does Eli feel? How does
yeah,
Rush feel?
yeah, yeah, that's insane. Um, but yeah, so it's like, oh, that's right. Sorry, I was just looking at the summary of this episode. Chloe was the one who came up with the solution.
Ah, okay.
She
Makes
was the
sense.
one that
Makes
came
sense.
up with
It's
the
right.
solution. Eli was trying to figure it out, and she was the one that came up with the solution. So that also brings an added layer because they didn't know if they wanted to trust her
Hmm.
because of
Right.
her seeming like she's turning more and more into the alien,
Yep.
basically.
True, true, true.
So that's also so complicated. So yeah, so like I said, by the end of it, I was just like, oh my gosh, wow, such a good episode, but such a crazy episode. Like, what the heck just happened?
I would not put this. I know we recently talked about feel-good sci-fi. I would not put this in feel-good sci-fi. This was very stressful sci-fi. Was very shocking
Yeah.
sci-fi. I mean, I'm not sure if I would go as far to say it's like the darkest episode of Universe yet, but I would say in some ways it had some of the darkest content.
At least up to this point, because
Yep.
I haven't seen anything past it yet.
Hmm.
Um, that I feel like, yeah, this for me at least has got to be one of the darkest. I mean, one of the other ones that was quite uncomfortable and bad was when, Young had to help kill off the guy, I
Hmm.
forget his name, but it was because he was injured. So it was like not like malicious. It was done with love in a weird sense. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
trying to put him out of his suffering. But that was also still very hard. Like they've really with Universe, I feel like they really show the hard scenes.
Hmm.
Like, with everything, Atlantis and SG1, they keep it light. And
Hmm.
even when things are dark and sad, they never actually go into the depth of what they show that can make it that much worse. Like it's awful and you feel those emotions and know it's sad. But with Universe, my God, they really like live in that dark space.
Well, I think they show it on so much more of a personal level.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear
Yeah.
of like, oh, the Goa'uld, they, they came and they enslaved a planet or something like that, and they'll talk about it on this kind of macro level or large level of what's going on. But because you're not
Yeah.
really getting to know the individuals, I think then it makes it like, even though it's impactful, it's not impactful in the same way. Like,
Yeah.
whereas when this kind of sort of one-on-one, very interpersonal, very emotional things happen, I think it hits the person watching in a very different way. Because
Yeah.
it becomes an event that affects you rather than sort of, oh, there's this problem going on we have to solve. And I think maybe that's a little bit, I mean, that's interesting. It's interesting to look at the different ways because, I mean, yeah, obviously, when you really think about it, considering the things that have happened in SG1 or Atlantis, there have definitely been lots and lots of dark things.
Oh, yeah.
But it's somehow the way that it is presented to the people and what journey you are being taken on. Um, you get a different like you look at the dark with a different like lens or something. It's
Yeah.
interesting, right?
Yeah. It's actually like, I feel like, I would imagine like people that are interested in writing for a TV series. Um, it's almost like an interesting like masterclass if they could have, or a way of analyzing what the writers do because it's quite fascinating. It's quite fascinating how you don't think of it in the time.
No,
we're not thinking that when bad things happen in SG1 or Atlantis, like, oh, it's done lightheartedly, like, oh, we're not
no.
getting as affected, like, because you do get affected, and but it's just in a very different way because that's the intention. And I
Yep.
think that's a big thing that people that are critical of universe miss, in my opinion at least, is that the intention is not for it to be SG1 in Atlantis. The intention is for it to very much so, at least in my opinion, the intention is seems to be its own thing done in a very specific way, and it's all very intentional.
Hmm.
That it's just like for people that are critical of it, it's just because you know they just assumed it was going to be like the other two. um but I don't think that was ever the intention of the writers that did it, because
No.
they clearly can write the other way and didn't. Like it was purposefully done and really well done. Like
Hmm.
it's so good, especially once you get halfway through season one, especially season two. It's a shame it didn't last, for roughly the same time Atlantis did, because I can only imagine like all the stuff that could have happened in that show. So it's a shame that they never got the opportunity to do that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, do you have anything else to mention about this episode in particular that like stood out to you, or any thoughts or questions you have about it that you think maybe people listening to us would like, want to comment on?
I'm just curious if other people watching found some of the things as shocking, or what was their most shocking moment of this episode. I also think it would be kind of a fun experiment because you mentioned a master class. What
Mhm.
if you had someone rewrite a Stargate, like SG1 episode, with the tone and gravity of universe and vice versa?
Oh, oh wow. That would be really a really difficult thing for someone to do, but that would actually be a really cool thing to try, I would imagine, if someone was into to doing that. That would be really good practice too.
Hmm.
To try and
Exactly.
like learn how to change the tone of something already given the content that's happening.
Exactly. Exactly. And to people who are watching, can you think of a darker episode that's not after this in universe, but a darker episode up to this point of SGU or SG1 or Atlantis? Because maybe we're not remembering, and maybe there was like a completely an episode that someone else would consider very dark, from
Yeah.
SG1 or Atlantis.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even universe.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as long as it's not after this episode, because I haven't seen past that yet. So I don't want any spoilers.